I'm Patty Blenderman. I'm your ADHD coach, here to help you thrive with your ADHD. Are you looking for even more support? I invite you to check out the ADHD-Friendly membership at ADHD-friendly.com. This week, I'm celebrating a spring decluttering win. I'm also going to update on my spending for the week. Then I'm going to share an ADHD-friendly tip, how to use song parodies for humor. And then I've also got a product of the week, iced tea. More on that in a little bit. And then a book recommendation. Then we'll dive into self-efficacy, which is our topic for this week, what it is and how to strengthen it with ADHD. Let's get started and make your week a little bit more ADHD friendly. All right. So this is episode 182, and I am solo today. So I'm recording with my pug. I've got my pug here to talk to, so I feel like I am connecting and not just talking to a computer. So my celebration is I cleaned and decluttered my entryway. My coat rack was overflowing with all of the winter coats and gear. It still can be cold here in Chicago this time of year, but not so much that everybody needs to have four, kind of cluttered things. There was sweatshirts and there was hoodies and raincoats and heavy coats. And I mean, it was just literally like a big dome of coats just thrown over it. You couldn't even see hooks anymore. So I decluttered that. I hung up all the really heavy winter coats. And then I put away all of the winter boots and the snowshoes and the poles, all of that put away. So my entryway just doesn't have like all these bulky shoes and coats all over it anymore. And it just looks so much less cluttered and busy. And then when I moved all of that, of course, there's like dust and dog hair and dirt behind. So I cleaned up the floor, dusted and vacuumed, and it just looks so much better. And it really only took me about 20 minutes. I think I estimated it would take me 45, but it was a pretty quick process. And it just gave me a lot of sense of calm to have it done. So that is my celebration. Now to what I purchased this week. I purchased 2 t-shirts from Sam's Club. They were $8.50 each. One of them I'm wearing. They're just plain t-shirts, but the shirts I bought to wear underneath of my new hoodie sweater. One of them was super tight. I liked the way the color was better than this, but it was so clingy tight that I'm sure I'll wear it, but only under certain things. I don't like, actually, this would be a better thing to wear underneath of now that I'm wearing it and thinking about it. But I just needed more white t-shirts. And the other one I got was a navy blue t-shirt, which I actually like the color of a lot. So, and they're very comfortable. They're just very classic t-shirts. And then I also bought, it was the last week of clearance at my local knit shop. And I helped out on Saturday, and there was a bookshelf that Betsy had listed for sale, and it was $20. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that in my happy room to store a lot of the yarn I've been buying since Betsy announced that she was closing the store. So that's what I did. I set it up and it looks really good. So for $20, I felt like I couldn't go wrong. My husband usually isn't happy with me when I buy things made of wood because he likes to build things and is really good at it. But I know he couldn't make me a bookshelf for $20. So I feel like it was a really good purchase and I was happy with it. And the girls helped me carry it out to my car, and now it's already in place and even more organized because I had like a bunch of yarn and things I've been buying over the last 4 to 6 weeks, and now it has a home and it looks really nice and I'm enjoying that. All right, so now for my tip for this week. I'm calling this how to tap into Weird Al, like Weird Al Yankovic, to create some humor around ADHD with a song parody. So I've done this with a lot of different songs over the years, or I just like the title of the songs that remind me to kind of lighten up how I'm looking at an aspect of ADHD that might be bringing me down. And so the song that I'm going to highlight here that I actually rewrote, oh gosh, this was back in 2021. The song was that I wrote the parody to is Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. And yes, I'm going to sing this. No, I can't sing. So absolutely skip ahead or pause. I'm only going to sing a couple of lines of it, but I'm hoping you'll get the tune if you don't know how it goes, just for me saying the name of the story or the name of the song. So it was Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. I changed it to Starting Seems to Be the Hardest Part, right? So with our ADHD brain wiring, it's really hard to initiate tasks, to get started on things. We procrastinate a lot. So I just always hear this song in a different way. And I just decided to sit down and write it out because it was always the way I was singing it in my head anyway. So I'm just going to start here where he says, what have I got to do to just get started? What have I got to do to begin? What do I do when I spend all night trying and awake to find the mess still here? What have I got to do to make it easier? What have I got to do to start it all? How do I explain that I can't do it? Because starting seems to be the hardest part. And then he says, it's hard, so hard. Why can't I just get started? Oh, it seems to me starting seems to be the hardest part. Yeah, I know. There's a reason that I don't sing. So thank you for sticking with me through that. But I just love the idea of creating some humor. To me, humor is one of the best ways that I have found in my life, helps me shift out of negative, that kind of fatal destruction, catastrophizing, into just kind of lightening the mood and seeing it for what it is and coming at it from that energy of humor. It just tends to blast through the wall that's building up to keep me from moving forward and allow me to jump over it, because it just lightens things up. So that's my tip, is to find humor. Again, I shared a humor tip last week, but this time it's around songs. So find a song that you would change the words around. If it lightens things up, if it creates a little humor in your life, that's sometimes all we need just to break through the difficulty, in this instance, of getting started. So if you have a song that you have changed around or used the title of or used the phrase of to direct towards something that typically could be a challenge with ADHD, I would love to hear it. Post it in this episode 182. All right. And now I forgot my product of the week. I jumped right ahead. Skipped right past it, guys. My product of the week, it's Luzianne tea. So I am an iced tea girl. I drink iced tea 365, like every day of the year. I love iced tea. When we moved to Chicago, I always use Luzianne tea. I find it makes the best iced tea. It's just true Southern. I'd never heard of it until we moved to North Carolina. So I don't know if they originate in a Southern state or not, but they are just how I learned to make hot tea. Yep, they're from New Orleans. And if you go to any of even like the fast food restaurants, like Luzianne is the tea that you will see over and over again that people are using in restaurants to make their sweet tea with. So I get the family size Luzianne tea. This is a 24 tea bag, family size tea bag box. I buy them in a 6-pack. When I looked this up for this episode, this is one of the best times to buy it, when it's on sale like this. Six boxes of Luzianne tea on Amazon, 24 in each box, $11.91. You cannot get that, in my experience, cheaper in the store. But sometimes on Amazon, it goes up so high that I won't buy it on Amazon. I will go to my grocery store, because now they do sell this locally, which is very, very exciting. So here's my, as the weather's turning in spring, getting a little bit warmer, if you don't drink tea year round, or you'd like to make your own tea, I drink it unsweet with a little bit of lemon. A lot of people, especially in my family, all of my kids were born in the South, so they really like it sweet. I'm going to give you my unsweet recipe, but you can always add some simple syrup if you want it to have the sweetener in it. But I use 2 tea bags, even though the box says to use 1. I find 2 makes it better, and I don't know why balloons are showing up. Peace? I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, I use 2 tea bags, and I use a large glass bowl. I don't like to use plastic. I microwave this, so I don't want it to emit any plastic in it. So I use my largest glass bowl. It's about a gallon of water that goes into it. I put 2 tea bags in it. I put it in the microwave 15 minutes, and then I let it sit for an hour or two to really steep. What I love is the inside of my microwave gets all a nice little coating of moisture on it, which makes it really easy just to wipe it down. It's kind of the thing I do once or twice a week to clean out the microwave too, because it makes anything that got stuck on there really soft and easy just to wipe off. And then I've got fresh tea, and it just is delicious, fresh, delicious, and you can't go wrong. So that's what I do to make my delicious Luzianne tea. That's my product of the week. Inexpensive, easy to make, easy to do at home. Okay, now to our main topic for today, and that is how to build self-efficacy with ADHD. All right. So I remember the first time I heard Dr. Russell Barkley talk about self-efficacy. It was at a conference. It was probably the conference right before the pandemic, so maybe 2019. And I remember how definitively he stated that self-efficacy was the biggest impactful challenge resulting from ADHD challenges. So it was the thing that would get in our way the most over the course of our lives, because it literally impacts our belief in our ability to do things. So I want to start with Dr. Barkley's definition of self-efficacy. So he calls it an individual's belief in their ability to achieve goals, solve problems, and manage life problems effectively. He emphasizes that for people with ADHD, self-efficacy is often impaired due to difficulties with executive functions, inconsistent motivation, and repeated past struggles. I always refer to this as we have a lot of evidence of our weaknesses and failures. This is why I always highlight the importance of creating success journals, especially visual success journals. If you are visually oriented, you have a visual processing strength. So Dr. Barkley says that building self-efficacy requires structured support, external scaffolding, and strategies that accommodate ADHD brain wiring. He says we can't depend solely on willpower and discipline. We have to target our self-efficacy. So what's in it for me to do this work? Because I'm going to be honest, building your self-efficacy takes work. It is not something that we do naturally. And like Dr. Barkley shared in his research, it shows that our self-efficacy is negatively impacted with ADHD. So to reverse that and strengthen self-efficacy will take some structure, and it will take some focus over time to impact that in a positive way. So what's in it to do the work, the WIFM? What's in it for me? First is we'll have reduced procrastination. This is a huge thing because I know a lot of us, me included, can procrastinate a lot. And we will reduce the amount of time procrastinating because we will increase our belief in our ability to do something and follow through with it. I call this evidence you can do it. Number two, it gives us improved resilience. So when we're faced with setbacks and challenges, we are less likely to withdraw and give up because we have evidence that we can do it. And it also will increase our momentum. That's the third big benefit. So we're able to achieve goals and try new things. I think of this as an upward spiral. Once we get going and increasing our self-efficacy, it builds on itself because we are constantly getting more evidence that we can do things as long, and this is the key, we're doing them in the way that works for our brain. We're doing it our way. So what are some strategies to take this concept and put it into practice so you're strengthening yours? First, go back to what I just said a minute ago, those successes, capturing your small wins and evidence of progress. Any progress is something we have to get in the habit of acknowledging, because if we set out to, let's say, organize the garage and all we did was organize our toolbox, we will minimize the toolbox success because we'll focus on what didn't get done. We need to acknowledge, okay, I still need to do the rest of the garage, but I finished my toolbox and it looks amazing. And I'm super excited that I have tools in there in a way that I can easily find what I need when I need it. That's acknowledging progress. So start with mini tasks, mini goals that are easy to achieve and check them off. So again, we're building that momentum. We're improving our resilience and we are reducing the procrastination because it's small enough that we can get started. Number 2, reframe your failures. So see a failure instead of a failure as an opportunity to learn what didn't work and then to explore what to do with that in the future. So if you know setting out to organize the entire garage in one day isn't a good plan for you, let's not keep repeating that pattern and just expecting it to go differently the next time. Maybe we break it into steps and we decide, okay, this weekend, I'm going to focus on just throwing out anything that's on the floor, just kind of tidying up and getting rid of trash. Use what you learned from what didn't work to support yourself so that it's a strategy to deal with what didn't work. And it's not that you didn't work and you are a failure. It's the system that you were using failed you. Let's figure out a better system. Number 3, let's go back to Dr. William Dotson's ICNUP model, ICNUP. So remember, Dr. Dotson says we can get engaged in anything or once we're engaged, we can do anything. Sorry, I misphrased that. So make tasks more engaging by creating interest. The I in ICNUP is interest, C is for challenge, N is for new or novel, U is for urgency, and P is for sometimes passion. Sometimes we can bring passion into it, but not always. So ICNUP menus. Number 4, change the mantra. So instead of, oh, I can't do this, change it to I can, or I haven't yet. So if you have evidence that you've never been able to do this, it doesn't mean you never will. It might mean I haven't yet. So I haven't finished the garage yet, but it doesn't mean I'm never going to succeed in organizing the garage. It might mean I haven't finished the entire thing, but I have done the toolbox, right? So it's just reframing, changing the mantra. Number 5, connect with others for external support. So if you are looking for support, I encourage you, find what works for you. One of the reasons I started the ADHD-Friendly membership was to help any adult with ADHD implement more of their plans. We think about things a lot. We plan them out. We know what we need to do, but we don't do it. So a lot of the structure of the membership is centered around how to take action, how to implement the plan, not just have a plan. So body doubling, accountability groups, notice what works for you. And if you need more structure, look for a system that you can tap into that is aligned with what you need. And I do invite you to check out the membership at ADHDfriendly.com to see if it is able to offer what you are looking for. Number 6, create an ADHD-friendly personal owner's manual, a POM. So design and capture your ADHD-friendly tools, your routines, anything that supports your success so you can use them again. Don't keep recreating the wheel. I hate, one of the reasons I initially started creating a POM, even though I didn't call it a POM at the time, was because I would get so frustrated going to do something that I already figured out and done, but I didn't capture what I did. So I found myself having to stretch my brain back to think about what was it that I did that allowed me to do this? What was the steps that I followed to get this checked off? So if I write it down, it's kind of like every time you pack for a trip, it's like, what do I need to bring? If you have a master packing list, you can go back to it and just edit it instead of having to recreate the entire thing in your brain. That just takes so much effort and it's not a good use of our energy. So a personal owner's manual. And again, check out my website, ADHDfriendly.com. At the ADHD Friendly shop, you can buy my book, Create an ADHD-Friendly POM, right on there, digital version, and you can have one printed on demand. Dr. Barkley said, so that was my last tip. So I want to finish with this quote from Dr. Barkley. He says, one of the most impactful negative effects of impaired self-efficacy is learned helplessness, and that ADHD-friendly strategies focus on small wins, external accountability, and tailored systems that can help strengthen the belief in one's abilities. That's what it's all about, my friends. Self-efficacy is a game changer. Strengthening it just gives us that boost in our belief of our own ability to follow through and complete more things. All right, now for this week's book of the week. This was a goodie. This was so good. I'm so sorry Becca's not here to hear me share this because I just love this one so much. It's called Destiny of the Republic. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Oh my gosh, I love this book. It was so good. It is by Candace Millard. The subtitle is A Tale of Madness, Medicine, and the Murder of a President. Come on. So this is one of those books that was so good. I didn't have to write a summary. I didn't have to try to like remind myself what this book was about. That happens sometimes. They start to blend. Not this guy. This is about President Garfield. And I didn't really know anything about him. I knew he was one of our presidents that was assassinated, but I really didn't. He was such a president for such a short amount of time, and it's just never been somebody that I learned about in any of my history classes. I really didn't know anything about him. So it's a book about him, and it starts at the 100th, the centennial anniversary of our country's independence. So it starts in 1876, and he is in, I believe, Philadelphia at a fair, like a centennial fair, celebrating the first 100 years of our country. And also he's there at the same time that Alexander Graham Bell is there to demonstrate his new invention, the telephone. And there's a doctor there, Dr. Joseph Lister, yes, creator of Listerine, who is there to share his new anti-sepsis product to help cut down on infections from surgeries. And both of these important historical figures, who are all at this 100th centennial fair at the same time, will cross paths again in the short period that Garfield's life leads to the presidency, and then unfortunately his death. It is a fascinating story, and I love it. This is like a narrative nonfiction book. So it's written, very much like a story is unfolding, which is my favorite kind of true story to read. It's easier to get through. And I just found myself just, kind of at the edge of my seat, even though I knew he died. I didn't know the horrific story of how exactly he died. And I kind of knew from the very beginning when they talked about Listerine and how President Garfield's one of the doctors that would end up being the primary doctors treating him after he was shot was at this same event and saw Dr. Joseph Lister's talk and didn't believe the science behind it and kind of poo-pooed it. And I just knew that was going to come back to haunt us. So it was really interesting. It was very, very well told. And it's actually being turned into a mini series, which I believe is coming out sometime in 2025. It has a different name and I didn't write it down. It's called like Lightning, something with lightning in the title. I'm sorry. I'll look it up and maybe I'll have Becca add it to as a pop-up. So if you're listening to this, check out the YouTube channel. I forgot to write that part down. But I do have a quote from the book. This is a quote from actually James Garfield. And he says, I so despise a man who blows his own horn that I go to the other extreme. One of my favorite parts about learning about James Garfield was how humble he was and how he did not seek to be president. He did not want to be president. And if anything, he was terrified when it looked like he might be elected president because he didn't want it. And sometimes it really does look like the people who won at least are the best suited to take the helm and lead us because they're in it for the right reasons. And it really is unfortunate that we lost him so early in his presidency. So that interests you, if that sounds like your kind of book, I invite you to check it out. And if you read it or you have something else to post about this episode, again, it's 182. That's it for now. Can't wait to see you next time. Until then, tally ho.